Welcome back to the office. So this one's going to be a bit deeper because what I'm really going to touch on here is the reason why most people don't get what they want out of life. And it's actually pretty simple. People are just unwilling to put themselves in compromisable positions. And so what I mean by that is people aren't willing to put their skills at risk, their persona at risk, their identity at risk. And so to kind of give an example, it's like I remember when I first hopped on the offer that I'm on, I had never done a high ticket like offer before. This is my first time. And I didn't start off setting, I didn't start off none of that, right? I had took like sales calls before, but that was for insurance. Totally different like call than what I was doing because this one is more in coaching. And I remember when I had my first call booked, I just felt so unprepared, like completely unprepared. And I always, I can't say I've always had this. I wanna believe that I've always had it. But I just remember when I had the call, I said, dude, just trust yourself. You got it. Like you're able to channel just something, you're able to channel like a reservoir within you in those moments where you're put on the spot. And I always have this like steel belief in myself that even if I mess it all up and I completely bomb, I'm gonna figure it out along the way. And I'm gonna give it my best shot. So I just remember I hop on the call and I'm just like, it's game time, baby. I just roll in and I perform. Now, of course, it was probably horrible. I didn't record it. And that wasn't by purpose. I just didn't even know what, like how to use the Fathom and Zoom and all that. Like I'm just like, this guy wants to buy. Let me hop on a call and do my best to sell him. Figure out what's going on. Just I know how to have a conversation with somebody. I know how to ask certain questions. I know how to figure out what it is that somebody wants. Very basic stuff is like, and so I just ran in, and most people would never do that. Most people it would scare most people away. And so it's just people are unwilling to do that. People are unwilling to make content as well. Like I remember when I first started making TikToks, it was weird. Like we've seen the memes before where it talks about like you have to go through like a period of being cringe in order to get to to see success on the other side. Like I don't fully believe that, but for some people that's very true. Some people do have to go through this period of cringe because you suck. You're new at it. It's horrible. So even like when my sales calls, I mean, yeah, that's a perfect example because if I were to watch my sales calls back when I first started, horrible. Cringing the whole time I'm watching it, right? I remember this was maybe like 2 years ago. I was at the gym and I was working out with this guy and I like boxing, right? So I'm hitting the bag and I was trying to show him some moves, but he was unwilling to put the gloves on and like try it out. And he's like, man, I'm gonna look dumb as hell if I try that because I've just never boxed before. And so because you're unwilling to look stupid for a brief period of time, you're just never gonna learn something. Most people do that in a lot of areas of their life. Most people, their love life will suffer and they won't even date the women that they want to date because they're just too unwilling to put themselves and actually go after what they want. I said this before, but life will give you either what you fight for or what you accept. Which one are you going to pick? So, and challenge, like, I don't understand why people are so opposed to challenging themselves. Like, it's fun. Like, if you just kind of take the seriousness out of life, like, we're all going to die one day. Like, I'm going to die, you're going to die, everybody we know is going to die. Like, so, like, it doesn't even really matter in the grand scheme of things. Like, just do it. And we never know when that time is going to come. I mean, life is so unpredictable. And so, probably, the reason why I have this whole, like, because I have this very interesting relationship with death. And it all started when I had a car accident back in 2021. And my car flipped like 5-6 times on the expressway. I was going like 70 miles per hour. I never wore my seatbelt, but for whatever reason, I had it on that night. And I remember, like, I used to always have dreams of dying in a car accident when I was a kid. So, and when you have so much adrenaline like going through your body, time is like going by slowly for you. So that's why, it always feels like so while the car was flipping, like in my head, it was like in slow motion, right? And so I remember when it was happening, I'm like, this is it. I'm done. Like that was my first thought. Second thought was, do not black out. Like just stay conscious. If your vision goes black, you're done. And so I remember I grabbed the steering wheel, I placed my head against the headrest, and I'm just holding on. And then the car kept flipping, and I'm like cussing. And I'm like, please stop, please stop, please stop rolling. And then finally it stopped rolling. I'm upside down. And then I made sure everything was still attached. I'm just feeling I'm like, and I started laughing. I'm like, damn, that's what that's like, right? And so ever since that moment, it was like, we're all gonna die. Like we all know that, but we're so distant from death. Like we're like disassociated from it almost. And it's being disassociated, it just makes us totally ignorant. And then it's like when we know somebody passes, like everybody's just like, in total shock, which is like shock is normal, but it's like death is a very real thing and it's coming for all of us. That's the one thing that we are guaranteed. That's the one thing we cannot escape, period. So I say all that to say that, like, come to the realization that your day is coming one day. And I don't know about you guys, but when I go, I do not want to be on my deathbed and have like even 1 ounce of regret, even one gram. Like I don't want to have any regret in me. I want to like leave. I want to leave feeling fully expelled, that I really gave this life all I had. And so most people are just unwilling to play the game. That's why, like, we all heard this term called like NPCs. They're just unwilling to play the game. We're in the game already. This is the game. Welcome to the game. Like, play it. Otherwise, you are just a non-playable character. You're just there to take up space. You're there to make the game look, and so most people don't get what they want out of life because they are unwilling. And it's just even with identity, right? Because we build our identity through life around certain things, certain experiences. Like we're not born believing anything. When I was born, I didn't believe that I was Catholic. Like none, all those beliefs got instilled in me, either by authority figures that I viewed as an authority when I was a kid, or just by other people, by my peers. Which, if we're all kids, right? So everybody has beliefs bringing from their own households, and we're just all like collaboratively sharing them and putting them on other people. And some kids are more congruent with their beliefs than others. Others are easily influenced. And so, like, you ever think about like who you were? You ever think about like who you really are? Like behind all the beliefs that have been instilled in you? It's a crazy thing to think about when you put it like that. Like, who are you actually before the world told you who to be? Because there's a part of us, like, no matter how much we develop, no matter how much we change, there's still that true part of us, right? Like, we're born with a natural personality to a degree, because that could be developed, right? But we're born with this natural personality, and it's honestly such a beautiful thing. So many children are stripped from it, though, by either their parents, peers, people that raise them. And so, like, I think that's kind of where, you're in school and there's the cool kid, right? The cool kid's always like, man, just be yourself. The dude that doesn't have any congruence with who he actually is does not know how to be himself, because he's become so distant from who he genuinely actually is. And so that's how deep it goes, because how can you play the game if you don't even know your character? Like, how? And that doesn't mean you got to sit down and like ponder about it. You act your way. So even if you don't know who you are and you're just like, I never knew, like, I had this traumatic experience. It's like, okay, we'll sit down, think about, who do I want to be? Who is like the 2.0 version of myself? Who is the, if let's say you're 18, right? The 25-year-old version of me. Who is that guy? This is actually a great thing to think about, because whoever you think you want to be is actually who you are. Like it comes full circle, because if this is who you want to be, that means it's coming from a genuine place, because you're associating like qualities, values, attributes that the best version of you has, or an improved version of you has. And so now all you have to do is so now you created I'll say like the goal of who you want to become. You created the ideal. So now you're giving yourself something to work towards. So if this version of yourself has, charisma, could go anywhere he wants, completely like open up the room, shake hands with everybody. Everybody loves this guy, like well connected, obviously does well financially, which has a lot to do with connections, of course, right? If he's like, confidence will take you so far. Like, and confidence is something that it's like something you can't grasp. It's just, you either kind of have it or you don't. It's just one of the two. And it's instilled in you. Like and so, the funny thing about that is, just because somebody's confident in one area doesn't always mean that they carry that. Now, some people are, like, some people could carry that congruence, which is, it's like I like to think of it as like a form of mastery, because they could walk in and even if they know they're horribly skilled, they just have this confidence that intimidates the other people. So let's say this guy walks in, right, and he sucks at like playing basketball, or he sucks at say basketball. He sucks, right? He walks into the room, but he's so confident in his ability, and like he'll like trash talk the other guys. Like, he might instill intimidation in them, and now they're off their game, because they're like, wait, who is this guy? And now he just schools them just based off of that. But he has to be in congruence. If it's fake, the cracks will show. The cracks will show. That takes a level of mastery, right? You got to know yourself very well to do that. And what helps a lot is also reflection. I'm not super big on being somebody that you just sit down and reflect. Like, that's good to do. I think it's very good to do, but you don't want to do it too much, otherwise you're just stalling. Like, it's just it's a very high level of just stalling, right? Because what you're doing is good, but it's kind of like rest or like meditation. Like, those are good, but also the thing about like rest and recovery is, the more output you have, the better recovery you're going to have. Like, if you guys, I don't know if you guys ever like track your sleep or anything, or wear like a Whoop band or something like that. Like, I've gone periods where I didn't get any exercise, but I got good sleep, and like I was still in the yellow recovery. But as soon as I went hard in the gym, I go to sleep and I get like 6 hours, and I would be in the green, because it's this polarity. Like, the yin and yang effect works everywhere. Anyway, I'm going off on a bit of a tangent, so let's draw it back to why people don't get what they want. It all comes down to that. So, and you hear it like anytime somebody is met with resistance. I'm not gonna say all the time, because certain people run towards it, but like, put up a fight, dude. Like, if you want something, like, what, I don't understand why people run the other way as soon as they're met with a little bit of resistance. And you know what? Look, I'm totally guilty of this myself. Like, I'm not saying that I'm excluded. I'm this unicorn. Like, I've definitely done this, but you have to realize that it's like when it's happening. And it's just like, oh, this is one of those moments where I'm being tested. Like, I'm going to run towards it now. And I mean, like this could even go if you're like talking to a girl and she puts up like the boyfriend thing. Like, okay, you know how many times this girl, like, especially if she's attractive, like how many times she get, well, it's even more so if she's not if she's like mid attractive, because mid girls get approached more than hot girls. But let's say, yeah, you know how often she gets approached? Like, she's just trying to weed out the guys that are serious versus the ones that aren't. And you might be a good looking dude, you might, whatever, have some charisma or whatnot, and you're like, well, why did she give that one to me? Like, I'm that guy. Not to her yet. You haven't shown her. So if she gives you a little bit of pushback and you give in, then yeah, you actually are just like the other dudes. So fight for what you want, man. Like, it bothers me, and probably the reason why it bothers me so much when people don't fight for what they want is because there was a version of me that didn't. Like, I remember, okay, I'll tell this last story. I remember when I was 20 years old, I remember I got this job, right? And I was so excited because it said that you could make $80,000 a year. And I'm like 20, I'm like, 80,000, like I didn't even go to college. And unbeknownst to me, it was a door-to-door sales position. And I remember like the first day, I'm like, this sucks. Like, this sucks. Like, we were walking, knocking doors, like nobody answered. It's just like, oh my God, like this is gonna be my life every single day. Like, it completely sucked. And I remember who I was training with was some girl. She kind of like an alpha female type. Respect. She finally closed the deal and it was like the end of the day. And she was totally all in for, like, her personality was in alignment with sales, right? It's so funny because I'm in sales now, but and I'm like, dude, there was no way, like, I'm doing this every day. But I also, like, I was met with resistance. The only thing that was motivating me at the time was the fact that it said $80,000 a year. But I was like, oh, this is fully dependent on me selling. Like, this isn't like you're going to get 80,000 because if you work every day, we'll pay you. It was like, oh, I went home with nothing that day. I went home, pockets bone dry. And I was like, yeah, no. So at that moment, I was met with resistance, and I was just like, after this, I'm going to go do something else. Now, mind you, like, I wasn't the most intentful person when I was 20 years old. I was just trying to make a buck. Like, I wasn't really like, oh, I need to become this person. Like, that wasn't me yet. Now, 4 years later, different story. 4 years later, I'm like, oh, okay. In order for me to get what I want out of life, I have to play this game. That's when it clicked for me personally, right? And so I think, well, we all need that click. Otherwise, it's like, why would we opt in? Because it's like, it's like when you play Grand Theft Auto, like, like you want to level up your character as much as possible. You want to max out all the stats. So until you have that click moment where you're like, oh, I got to max out all my stats in order to get all these things that I claim I want, I claim I desire. It's like, okay, so now you know what's required of you moving forward. So I hope there was some clicks for you watching this. There definitely was some clicks for me even like going through it because, man, I mean, it's true. And like life is it's every day you start like at zero, right? The cool thing is you might start at zero every day, but you also start with all the wisdom that you've acquired and experienced, and which will carry you pretty far. Like, but you just always have to keep growing. That's my biggest thing. And being around people that are like, you can't isolate yourself. It just, the stupidest thing you can do is to isolate yourself on the path of the game. Like, this is all about having connections, man. Like, if it wasn't for having connections, I wouldn't even be in the position I'm in now. Like, I had to network. And I remember, like, when I used to go to networking events before, it's like looking at a gold mine with no tools. So you put yourself out there enough times, you'll get lucky. You will. I mean, it's only a matter of time. But you also have to create the luck in a sense. The luck will come to you, but you also have to you have to like create the space for it to come to you. Like, you can't, okay, I'll put this. You cannot win the lottery if you never play. You're never going to win the jackpot if you never play. And I'm not telling you to do that because I don't. Like, I don't, I wouldn't even want money that I didn't work for. That might be a limiting belief. Let me X that out because if somebody calling like, yo, I got 20 mil. I mean, yeah, I'm taking it. I receive. I promise. So I'll leave it at that. Let me know what clicked for you. Let me know what how you're gonna start playing the game a little bit more. I'm pretty sure, man. If you're watching this, you're definitely in the game. I'm not saying you're not. You're either just starting or you've been playing for a while, and so you're my kind of guy. You're my kind of guy. So let me know what's an area you're gonna double down on, and just want to create just want to be around like people that are like-minded. It's you gotta love the game, man. And the point of the game is to play. It's, of course, you will win, but the point of the game is to play. So I'll see you guys in the next one.